Welcome to Pints and Politics. Today we've got a
another special guest.
Glad to be
Friend,
specialist of the special.
Yeah, Representative Brandon Cox. Welcome back. Happy 2025. First week back in session. You tired yet?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We haven't done anything yet. But
It's been as busy as the 13th largest city in South Carolina.
Speak for yourself. So what's been going on?
well, so thanks for having me, guys. Sincerely, we've got a really cool thing happening in our state, and it's long overdue. We've met the timeline to pick the designer and the location of the statue of Robert Smalls.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And if you don't know who Robert Smalls is,
Yeah, please tell us. We got two listeners that are desperate to find out who.
Yeah.
Google Robert Smalls. Just a real quick snapshot. He was born enslaved in Beaufort, sent to Charleston to earn more money for his master, commandeered a Confederate ship, a steamer, freed himself and his family and his shipmates by sailing to the Union blockade, worked for the Union.
Yeah, right. Was like an enlisted Union.
Yeah,
helped them navigate the Sea Islands.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was a freedman at that time, and yet he came back to fight for the Union.
Yeah, to Beaufort. And so then he did a lot more, and then he served. He's actually one of the founders of the South Carolina Republican Party.
Yeah, wow.
So then he came into the State House and serves where we serve.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went to State Senate, and then he went to U.S. Congress. And then he came back, and he bought the same house as Matt. This is before this. He bought his master's house and let his master's wife live in the house in her dying days. So
wow, man.
The story, and that's just real highlight stuff. I recommend a book called Be Free or Die.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of information on Robert Smalls, and he's not just a South Carolinian hero, he's an American hero, and it's long overdue. And I find even people in Charleston, or here in Columbia, or even anywhere in South Carolina, when I say, do you know who Robert Smalls is, they say no.
Absolutely.
And I say, well, that's why we need to put a statue of him on State House grounds.
I think we just had that conversation with a college student here.
We did.
And so hopefully we're getting that message out. I think that's the powerful thing behind that effort that you led in our first term. Was it's not just about a statue, it's about advocating and educating, especially our younger people. And I think it's also demonstrating the just interesting history of South Carolina and where we've come from, but now where we're going, right? And I think this is just an important symbol that our General Assembly came together unanimously, supported that effort.
Unopposed.
And so at what stage are you on now? Because I know you've had a lot of commission or committee meetings in the off season. Update the two listeners on what the process is, where's it at, how can we help?
Well, one, I want to say this was extremely a team effort. We had a lot of support in the House, and I'm the primary filer of the bill, but it was not achieved without a tremendous amount of teamwork. Mm-hmm. And so to mention teamwork, I'd like to give a shout out to the Department of Admin, Mike Sheely and Katie Phillips. When the commission was formed, we had until January 15th, which was yesterday, to have a design and an artist and a location picked out to send back to the State House Committee. Because of Department of Admin, specifically our chairman, Mike Sheely, he kept the train on the tracks. Can you imagine 5 House members, 5 senators trying to do this?
For those of you who are just listening, Brandon Guffey is grinning ear to ear.
So, without the tremendous support from those folks, we wouldn't be talking about this today. Last week, we had a commission meeting where we picked out Basil Watson, who also did the statue of desegregation here on the 3 desegregation statue here on campus grounds, not too far from where we're sitting right now.
What's the artist's name, the sculptor's name?
Basil Watson.
Basil Watson, okay.
Yep. So the location is going to be on the front side of the State House grounds, and
over there on the Gervais side.
On the Gervais side.
Okay,
correct.
so we got, I think Tillman's over there, George Washington, and now Robert Smalls.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
And so the location, the design was was meant to show an equal on State House grounds, not an effigy or not a whatever the term may be
for
a parody. Yeah, it's not. Yeah, this is when you look at Ben Tillman, Strom Thurmond, you look at other statues. This is Robert Smalls is going to be upright, erect, and looking back towards George Washington.
Nice.
And Ben Tillman.
So what's next for this commission?
Oh,
I mean, what's next for y'all? I know because this bill was to form the commission, right? And then funds, this actually isn't any public money, right?
Nope.
It's going to be all private?
All private funding. So
Do you need donors?
We need donors. We do.
Okay.
And my goal is to...
You might have 2 more after this podcast.
My goal is to have it done by July 4th, 2026. While this is a Civil War story, it's part of our 250-year history.
Oh, wow.
So that would be on the 250th anniversary of our founding. So, yeah, Department of Admin / Robert Smalls. You can donate online. You can Google, Yahoo, whatever search engine you have. Robert Smalls.
You can tell Cox is the oldest one here at the table.
I still have a Yahoo account.
Yahoo?
So, yeah.
Or Hotmail.
These guys are looking like, what's a Yahoo? You know? So, yeah, that's the next step, is to raise funds.
Okay.
And
what are we hoping to raise? What's
well, I
the
was
goal?
just going to say, people keep asking me, what's the number? I said a lot, because I think Robert Smalls deserves to be built in the most premium materials possible. In DC, it has to be either bronze or marble. Mm-hmm. There's the more we can bring in, the much better we can make this statue. And 200 years from now, 300 years from now, our great-great-great-grandchildren will be able to see the statue.
Yeah.
And remember. Bring it all in.
I want to point something out. As it was maybe 2 years ago that this idea started.
Mm-hmm.
And it was myself, I think you and Carla Schuschler. We were going to meet Heath and some other freshman reps coming out of the first or second week of session.
On State House, on the campus.
On the campus.
Yeah.
And there was a group of kids going around.
Yes.
And we said we're always going to try to make an effort to go and talk to the kids whenever we see kids at the State House grounds.
Yep.
And we walked up and we allowed some of the kids to come into the chamber, and it was like maybe first, second grade kids. And the first comment as they got done talking, they asked the kids, did they have any questions? And the first person to speak up was a young girl that looked up, and she said, "Why aren't there more people that look like me? Or why aren't there anybody that looks like me?"
Looking at all
and
the
we were
paintings
looking at all the paintings and everything in the State House.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's a good question.
Yeah, right.
And you had just started reading that book, I think it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you were like, "Hey, have you heard this guy?" And then we all started kind of reading the book and get into it. It was like, wow.
In my defense, being the history major from the premier university in the state
You
of South
already
Carolina, I was familiar with Robert Smalls. My specialty was my focus. My minor was Southern Studies. So, I was familiar with it. But it was a great sort of personal journey for me to go back and reread my Robert Smalls book.
Yeah.
And just, him and I will talk a lot about this issue in his life. And just an amazing life. I don't know how there's not a movie about this.
Well,
last I heard, Spike Lee's trying to raise funds to do a movie about it.
and if there's going to be a movie done, it needs to be done very, very well done.
Yeah.
We're talking blockbuster.
Yeah, right.
Because there's a lot to not just his story, but the story of our state.
I would enjoy a Netflix miniseries or something.
That would be great. Yeah. So Netflix,
But-
if you're listening, if you're one of the 2 listeners out there, let's talk about this.
And how they get in touch with you, Representative Cox?
www.statehouse.gov.
Well, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you guys
Yeah.
so much for having me.
Thank you for your work and your advocacy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you guys
you're
so
a friend
much.
of the podcast, but also a friend and a colleague in real life. So
I appreciate that. And
A member of the Porch Caucus.
Yeah, that's right.
A founding member of the Porch Caucus. And what a great story to be talking about right now, with all the division in this country, to be talking about putting up a statue of this man.
yeah, and back to that message. I think all of us came in as well. Guffey and I knew each other, but obviously our friendship has grown since then. But you were a perfect stranger, right?
Oh, we didn't know each other. Now we all live together.
And we all, and we marvel about.
Well, not me anymore. Y'all left me.
We marvel at the idea that God put us in each other's lives and all those types of things, and we talk about politics can either be an arena where we divide our communities or we bring them together, right?
Yes.
And this is a great great just moment where we can all come together and agree like this is a good thing to do.
Absolutely. I'm
Not
proud of our
just for-
state.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm
for our
very
state
proud.
at large.
Absolutely.
So
We're coming a long way.
yeah. So thanks again, man. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Being free.